there is one Liverpool player on the move. I know James Pearce reported earlier, there have been a few reports about Stefan Bajcetic because he was linked away from, obviously, I need to clarify this one, Stefan Bajcetic is currently on loan at Salzburg. He was reported to be on the move, and that was kind of kibosh, like Liverpool prepared him to stay. Well, looks like things have changed. James Pearce reported this, a few others as well. Stefan Bajcetic has decided to join Las Palmas rather than Porto for the rest of the season. Liverpool had planned for him to stay at Salzburg until after the Club World Cup, but the player was increasingly keen to move on, and the clubs have agreed to terminate his loan. Obviously, the thread to pull here is that Stefan Bajcetic went there under Pep Lijnders, was the manager. He's since been sacked, and maybe that's played a part in this as well. But yeah, the fact that the player fancy getting out of Salzburg and going to Gran Canaria doesn't make that much. I mean, obviously, in terms of weather, he's doing well, but yeah, he's foregone staying with Salzburg for the rest of the season. He's forgone the Club World Cup, and he's going on loan to Las Palmas. Obviously, Liverpool will be aware of Las Palmas. They played them in pre-season, but interesting for Stefan Bajcetic, another one where it didn't quite go his way in Salzburg, and he's going back to Spain.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no secret that one of the driving forces for him to move to Salzburg to begin with was Pep Lijnders. Obviously, he was getting the band back together, weren't he, with Bobby Clark and all that sort of stuff. Vita Matos went as well, didn't he? So, coaches who've known Stefan, since he moved to Liverpool back in the start of 2021, was it? Who've seen him grow from a late teen into a young man on the first sort of steps of his professional journey, and no doubt were a big advocate for him breaking into the first team at Liverpool. What was it? Was it two years ago now? So, no surprise really that since Lijnders has been moved on, that he might be agitating for a move himself. He's not a regular. I think he's made 19 appearances, about 8 to 9 starts. So not someone who's playing every week and someone who's been a big part of what's going on there. And they're not having a great season by all accounts, are they? They're one of the few who were knocked out of the Champions League. So, yeah, I can understand them wanting to move back to his homeland for a bit, continue that sort of professional rhythm, getting some football into his legs, because he hasn't really played too much, as he certainly didn't in last season at Liverpool. So yeah, I remember speaking to Slot on transfer deadline day, and he was adamant that this is a player who is a Liverpool player for the long haul, for the long term, and we've got big plans for him. But those plans have sort of gone askew a little bit this season. So it'll be interesting to see what the long-term plan remains for Bajcetic. I guess for now it's a case of getting him over to Las Palmas, getting him playing La Liga football, and hopefully comes back in the summer renewed and ready to stake a place.
Absolutely. We've got a few different things to speak about this. First of all, he's decided to go to Las Palmas rather than Porto. Getafe were also interested. Do you think that is more the case of Porto third in the Portuguese league? Probably got a better squad, you think, of course, than Las Palmas. Is it just the fact that, because ideally most footballers, if you had the choice between Porto and Las Palmas, with all due respect, you'd probably go and play for Porto, more established team, more likely trophies, all that kind of stuff. Do you think it is just a case of it's game time? Because he hasn't had that at Salzburg. Yeah. Go and get yourself to Las Palmas, and because on the face of it, Porto will feel like a better move. But if you're not going to play, what's the point? Yeah,
game time, less pressure, I guess, than having to perform for Porto, the biggest club in Portugal. And also going back to Spain, he moved to England when he was 16, didn't he? And he hasn't really had a chance to go back other than for holidays and stuff. So yeah, I think it'd be a good move for him, really. And he can sort of try and get back to the level of form that he was at before he got that injury at Bournemouth, which was 2 years ago now. That really sort of sent his career away, of course, didn't it? Because he looked like he was really starting to play his way into the long-term thinking of Liverpool's midfield plans, and a lot of that was down to the decline of other players around that time. But I think everyone was excited by him, weren't they? We always remember that win at Newcastle when he was superb and played in the Merseyside derby that Liverpool won at Anfield and was really coming into his own around that time, and then injury has just stopped it dead in its tracks. So yeah, it'd be good for him just to get some minutes between now and the rest of the season.
I suppose, well, it's worth touching upon. Like, I need to be careful how I phrase this because I don't want to damn anyone. But like, the fact that the manager's gone and he's decided, nah, I'm off. Like, and Liverpool wanted him to stay there. They want him to stay there. Apparently, the plan was there. They'd pay the loan fee. Though that Club World Cup was maybe something. Like, I do wonder because it's like it looks like it feels like the players pushed this move through a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there anything in that way you'd rather have seen him maybe tough it out because football isn't easy? Like sometimes you do have to go through periods. Harvey Elliott's kind of going one through now where you're not in the team and you find your way into the team. I'm not saying he's took the easy option, but maybe maybe he has. I don't know. I wonder how that's looked upon around Liverpool, or do you not think that would be a worry whatsoever?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question, actually. Yeah, maybe there was a school of thought that suggests, stick it out, dig in. Your manager's left. This is what happens in top level football. You can't always be sort of under the bosom of the coaches who love you, really, and play your way into the team. But I guess for him, he's looked at it and think, well, he's not a regular, and what he went there for was for minutes, for senior football, and it's not quite happening. They're probably in a situation where they can't afford to give him too much because they're having a disappointing season so far. So, I can understand that as a theory, as a school of thought, but I think from Bajcetic's perspective, it's a case of going back home and playing more minutes and playing yourself into that rhythm that we spoke about with Joe Gomez, and that momentum that will hopefully see him come back into Liverpool's pre-season as a player ready to contribute.
Yeah, like I say, it's worth mentioning he's only 20, and he's not recently turned, he's not long turned 20, so he's a young lad, and he burst onto the scene. He was starting against Redmen in the Champions League, and he was one of the first names on the team sheet. I'm guessing from the conversations you've had, sometimes there are different types of loans. There are loans where at some point it's going to lead to a player probably being sold. Liverpool have had loads of them in the past for young lads who they've loaned out a few times with the view of they're going to move on. Maybe like a Harry Wilson or a Ryan Kent. They spring to mind. Is the plan with Stefan Bajcetic still that his future they think lies at Liverpool? Like the ceiling is as high as we all thought it was a couple of seasons ago. Yeah,
I mean, we haven't spoke to us a lot about him since deadline day when he moved, actually, but I seem to remember that being very effusive in what the very specific plan was for him and how much he rated him as a footballer and stuff like that. So you'd think that idea hasn't changed really, but I think Slot's an interesting one because with Klopp, you always knew how much faith and trust he had in young players and how much he was willing to give them opportunities and chances to prove them right. And a lot of that was down to Pep Lijnders' influence as well, and Vita Matos, who was an invaluable sort of link between the academy and the first team setup. But I don't think Slot's shown similar traits so far, has he? We come in and he moved Ben Dokan, and Stefan's went as well, and Bobby Clark was sold. And of course, this isn't Slot just making these decisions, but it seems to be like he's less idealistic when it comes to young players. So the plan might have changed. It'd be interesting to maybe put it to him at some stage to see what his thinking is. But at the moment, I guess Liverpool still have the same plans that they had for Stefan at the start of the season, and those senior minutes are now going to come elsewhere, other than Salzburg under a manager who really liked him.
Yeah, like I say, fair play. Go and get yourself to Gran Canaria for a couple of months. I'm sure the weather will be a bit more pleasing for them there.